everyone. My name is Sarah Limberg. I am our Associate Director for Admissions here at Mary Washington. I am currently joined by Amanda. Amanda, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Hart. I am one of the assistant directors here in the Office of Admission, and I primarily work with students who come from Fairfax County, Virginia. So some of you may have seen me at some point throughout this process already, and we're so excited to have you with us today.
So we are going to go through, and I probably should have shared with you all my territory. I have very specific areas. So I have Stafford County, City of Fredericksburg. I have independent schools across the Commonwealth, very specific ones in Northern Virginia in the Richmond area and Tidewater, as well as Chesterfield County and Florida. So my territory sounds a little odd, but it makes sense, I promise. But we're going to go through, we're going to talk with you about your next steps, some of the things that you can be expecting, some of the things that you're aware of, and other pieces and parts that may be a little bit newer to you, that are options for you as you go through this process. Amanda and I will take questions at the end, and we're going to kind of be tag teaming. So we'll start with kind of walking you through some of these next steps, and she may add in some things, I may add in some things with our presentation. So feel free to use the raise the hand icon, put questions in the chat. She can be answering them in the chat, or save them till the end, and then at that point you can unmute and talk for us. Again, we're in the meeting format of Zoom, so we can see and hear you. We are recording, so this recording will be put on the YouTube page. If you do not want your video on the YouTube page, I do ask that you go ahead and turn your video off. That's totally up to you. Although, like I said, Amanda and I do like smiling faces, so that's good to hear. So welcome to the next step session. We will go through this information. It probably shouldn't take us more than a half an hour, but we're here to answer questions for you. So we can stick around a little bit longer and make sure that everybody's leaving feeling comfortable with the knowledge that they have, moving forward to our next kind of point of contact with you and you coming to campus, which will be orientation in June. So we'll talk about those too. So to kind of start out, we want to talk about the next steps that you have likely seen in your admissions portal, the ones that you are aware of. So first and foremost, once you have submitted that enrollment deposit, you all got the first year questionnaire. You've also been given access to your UMW Net ID and password. You've been given access to the housing and dining agreement, and you've given access to register for orientation. So if you have done all of those things, at this point, you have taken care of your next steps and there's nothing for you to worry about, okay? A lot of these different pieces will come out strategically at different times to keep you from being overwhelmed, okay? So the ones that you have access to right now are the ones that are listed on the screen, and we will go in more depth about how you find them, how to complete them, what to consider when you're doing them, okay? So we're going to start with the first year questionnaire. So the first year questionnaire is the first email that you will get post making your enrollment deposit. So hopefully everybody, and I am pretty sure everybody who is attending today has committed to Mary Washington, has received this email. Sometimes it can get hidden in your Gmail accounts, especially with Gmail, but it can get buried, right? So I wanted to provide some additional information to you of different ways that you can find it. First and foremost, the one that the email comes from is Dr. April Wynn. So if you're like, I don't know that I got this email, I haven't been able to find this, search Dr. April Wynn or April Wynn in your search bar of your email, and you may find it. Gmail often, and sometimes Yahoo and Hotmail too, they like to flag some of our emails that go out in larger quantities as spam mail, or they'll filter them into promotions or your all mail files. So sometimes you have to look for stuff from us and make us a preferred or a starred conversation so that it brings it into your inbox. There is also another place that you can find this first year questionnaire, and it is in your admissions portal. So where you went to check your application status, to make sure we had received all those materials, likely where you went to click on the link to pay your deposit. If you log into that portal again, what you'll see is your next steps in your checklist will have changed to include the items that I mentioned in this previous slide. So it will say first year questionnaire, housing and dining agreement, register for orientation. And if you click the different links that are linked in there, it will take you out to the different places that you can do that. So the other place you can find this questionnaire is in your admissions portal. This questionnaire is not only for your first year seminar course, but this questionnaire is going to ask you a lot of academic interest questions, and it is used by our team in academic services to actually build your first semester schedule. This questionnaire will take you about 20-ish minutes to complete. So make sure you are dedicating time to that and not trying to rush through it or do it on the fly. Make sure that you are closely paying attention when you are completing that because it does have impacts beyond just your first year seminar course. Amanda, did you want to add any other info about the purpose of the first year questionnaire or the first year seminar courses?
Yeah, so for most of you, you're, familiar and comfortable with what the first year seminar is at this point. Hopefully you've heard us talk about that a couple times. And many of you will know that it's tied to your housing. We really encourage you to pick a first year seminar that you are interested in, that gets you excited about it. We see students have a lot more success in their first year when they are picking those courses based on their academic interest and not based on where they want to live. Our first year buildings are all very similar. They're all air conditioned, some are recently renovated, others, are a little bit older, but they're all very nice. And so really try and resist picking your course based on what you perceive as the best building, and really try and make sure that you're picking something that you are interested in, because that's a course you're going to be in all semester. And it's also going to be how you're grouped in your building as well. So if you're the kind of person who's interested in the arts and humanities, but you picked a natural sciences seminar because you wanted to be in a particular building, well, all of the people around you are going to be interested in the natural sciences, when you probably would have found a better community if you were with other students who are interested in the arts and humanities. So that is something that I would really try and keep in mind when you're thinking about seminars and what sort of community you want to be in for that first year.
Additionally, with the first year seminar class, they are filled on a first come, first serve basis. So when you go in to complete that first year seminar or that first year questionnaire, there may not be all 40 some odd options for you to choose from. If you don't see an option, that is because that section of that first year seminar course has closed. So you will need to select from the ones that are available to you. I do have some good news in that we are actually opening up 3 additional sections of 3 very an additional section of each for 3 very popular first year seminar courses. So there will be an email coming out about that shortly. But we will be, and they haven't been added quite yet, but we will be adding an additional section of history that didn't happen, as well as Disney's America, and then our K-pop first year seminar course. Now, these may or may not be in the same building that the first section of those classes were housed in. So kind of keep that in mind, and you'll see that note on there. If you have completed your first year questionnaire, you should not go back into it because it can ruin your course selections. So if you have already submitted it and you have questions about your placement, or you can't remember what you picked, email your personal admissions counselor. They can let you know what you picked for certain things. If you have a specific, like, I can't remember what natural science I listed that I was interested in, don't log back into it. You actually have signed off on it once you submit it that you won't log back into it because it can mess up the system in placing you into different classes. So please keep that in mind. But for those of you that have not completed it yet, do know that we are adding a couple of additional sections for you at this point to kind of help spread out some courses there. So pretty exciting stuff. And like Amanda said, it is tied to housing, and we'll talk about housing in just a moment as well. So once you get your first year questionnaire, the next kind of set of emails that will come through to you will be to set up your UMW Net ID and password. Okay. One thing that Amanda and I will both ask that you guys do is please read that email in its entirety And when it links you out to our IT help desk website that will talk you through how to set up your UMW NetID and password by first logging into your UMW email. If you try to use that information and that temporary password to log into a different system, say my UMW, it's not going to work. So the first place you have to log in when you get your UMW email is into the email address itself. Okay. It will prompt you to change your password right away. Some students sometimes wonder because the temporary password can be made up of two different configurations. One that includes the last 4 digits of your social security number. The other includes the last 4 digits of your banner or student ID number, which for all of you, it's 9 digits. It starts with 000. It's something that is on your offer letter. Your admissions counselor, we can help you find that where you can locate that number. Make sure you try both iterations of that before reaching out saying, hey, this isn't working for us. We will have to connect you with the IT help desk. So if you're having trouble, you're like, I know I have both of these temporary passwords written out correctly, but it's still not working for me. You could reach out to your admissions counselor, but we will have to send you to the IT help desk because they're really the only ones that can adjust your temporary password and make sure you get into the system and have control over that. Just remember the UMW NetID is the front half of your email address. So everything that comes before the @ symbol is technically your UMW NetID. Okay. Using the @mail.umw.edu is your full email address. Your NetID and your password will change every 3 months. So for those of you who are like, oh, I picked this up and I did this right on February 15th or February 18th when it was available to me, that's awesome. Your password is about to change or probably already has changed. They're about to send you a thing that says change your password. It expires in 10 days. You do have to change your password every 3 months and you can't reuse the same password. So something to keep in mind, to kind of have some different iterations possibly, or different phrases that you want to use for your password, because that is something that will expire every 3 months, even now. If you set it up in February, you're going to start to get those notifications here in the next couple of months. So we also want you to start checking your UMW email. Okay. Admissions, once you have submitted an enrollment deposit committed to us, we will communicate to both the email address on your application for admission, as well as your UMW email. Other offices don't. And so we're going to start transitioning you to where you should be checking for everything, which is the UMW email. If it's coming from admissions, we'll still use your personal email as well. We also often include the stakeholders in your life, your parents or guardians. We include them as well in a lot of our messaging. But other offices won't. So you need to make a habit of starting to check that UMW email address frequently, maybe every other day, because in the summer you won't get too much, or set it up so that it goes to your cell phone if you like to have that type of feature. But you do need to make sure that you are checking that, because not everyone will communicate with your personal email. Okay. Other offices, Residence Life, they will only communicate with your UMW email address. So please keep that in mind and start the habit of checking that often, early and often, as I would like to say.
I would argue that this is the perfect time to get in the habit of checking that first thing every morning, because once you're in school, guess what? If a professor is canceling class, they're going to email you about it. And so you might get to stay in bed for an extra hour in the morning, but you don't know that if you don't check your email. So I highly encourage everyone to start checking their email first thing in the morning. It's a great time to just make sure you know what's going on for your day and what you have to do. And that way you don't miss anything either.
That's a good point. So once you've set up your NetID and password, you're going to be able to start accessing the last two pieces that were on our first slide. So the housing and dining agreement, as well as registering for orientation. So instead of using what you use to log into your admissions portal, you will now use your UMW NetID and password. So keep in mind that those two things will stay separate and different. So the housing and dining agreement will be sent to you via email, both personal and your UMW email account, for you to log in and complete the agreement. Now, remember that your building is tied to your first year seminar course. So even though you filled out the first year questionnaire, you still have to do the housing and dining agreement. You won't get a room and roommate assignment if you don't. That agreement is actually due by the 15th. If you have not completed the housing and dining agreement and want questions of how to fully walk through that process, we are doing an additional virtual session tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock, right, Amanda? That will be.
I'm checking that now, and I'm going to put the link to register in the chat.
Perfect. So if you want somebody to walk through that with you, talk about different questions that you may have about housing, that is a great opportunity to go ahead and do that. They're going to focus on the housing and dining agreement more so than what you can and cannot pack. They'll do that stuff later in like July when it comes to like moving into your residence hall. So this is very much focused on housing and the agreement itself, and making sure that you're filling that out, and maybe finding the fact that I want to live with Amanda and Amanda wants to live with me. How do we do that? Right. They're going to walk through all of those nuts and bolts. If you're sitting there and you're like, okay, well, I know my FSEM is in Willard. I want to see what Willard looks like. There is a virtual tour of Mason and Willard from last year that is on our website, on our YouTube page on the website. There are also pictures available on the Residence Life and Housing website. You can go on to the Res Life Instagram account. They have videos and room tours and things that you can look at there too. So there's a wide variety of option. I know a lot of students, and one of the questions that we've been getting is, what if I want to live in an all-female residence hall, or maybe I want to live in gender neutral housing? That's a great question, because those aren't tied to first year seminar courses, right? Those are accommodations and things that would trump your placement for your first year seminar placement. Okay, so if you are a female student, you want to live in all female housing, you can actually put that request on your housing and dining agreement. If you are a student who is a part of the LGBTQIA community and you want to live amongst other LGBTQIA students in a residence hall that doesn't identify by sex of male and female, right, or non-binary students, things like that, you can apply to live in Madison Hall, which is a both underclassmen and upperclassmen residence hall. I will say, and the team at Residence Life will tell you this too, there is more demand for Madison Hall than we have space available. So priority is typically given to students that are transitioning or have just transitioned for that placement. So please keep that in mind. You know, that doesn't mean that you can't find another roommate who's a part of the LGBTQIA community and live in your same residence hall building and select each other as roommates. You can certainly do that as well. But you do have to apply for special accommodation to live in Madison. What does upper and lower classmen mean? That's a great question, Matthew. Thank you for asking. So lower classmen, upperclassmen, or underclassmen and upperclassmen, that means it's a mix of first year students, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, right? So it's all the different academic classes and not just first year students. So Madison and then our all female residence opportunity, which is typically Ball Hall, is a mix of both underclassmen, so first year students, and upperclassmen. In those buildings, they do try to keep the first year students kind of in a wing or on a floor of a section of a floor to create that kind of first year community, but there are upperclassmen students that are there. Okay. Again, I'm going to say this date again. I'm going to kind of drill it into everybody. May 15th. One of the other questions that we often get about is finding your roommate. You are not responsible to find your own roommate. That is not your job. If you would feel better finding your own roommate, a lot of students have found luck in our UMW ZME group. ZME is an app that you can register with, and there's a find a roommate survey and quiz on there. Other students have been connecting on the Facebook group as another option, but the team in Residence Life will be able to go ahead and match you with another student based on how you answer the questions in the housing and dining agreement. If you're in the housing and dining agreement and it shows lists of other names, that's because you've been assigned to a building. So you can see, oh, Amanda has been assigned to my building. And then I could know that, oh, I could choose Amanda. Let me reach out to Amanda, see if she's interested in living with me, that kind of thing. So that's a way to do it too. Couple of questions in the chat. Is there a way to say that you would like suite style? So for suite style residence halls, again, your first year residence hall is based on your first year seminar course. So for first year students, that is going to be Randolph Hall and Westmoreland Hall. If your first year seminar class is housed in one of those two buildings, then you will have suite style hall. If you are in Willard or Virginia, that will be hall bathroom. Another question that we had come in, if I'm a off-campus student, do I need to still fill out the housing and dining agreement? That's another great question. You do have to fill out the dining portion if you are electing for a meal plan, but you do not have to fill out the housing portion. Amanda, anything to add there?
Yeah, I would just say if you are an off-campus student, I would consider having a meal plan, just because you are going to be on campus for large portions of your day. And most of our activities, so clubs, sports, if we have concerts, are going to take place in the evening as well. And so even if you just have, you know, one of the smaller meal plans, having a meal plan so that it gives you access to be able to eat on campus as you're going about your day, alleviates some of the stress during that first year. And then if you find that, you know, you're not using it as much as you thought you were going to be, you can, you know, drop that off your second year. But I would encourage you to look into the possibility of having a meal plan for your first year, even if you are off campus.
Yeah. Awesome. So if you have already found a roommate and you're in the same hall, is there a place where you confirm each other as roommates? Yes, you can confirm each other as roommates on the housing and dining agreement. That's where you need to confirm that. Okay. So you will find each other. You will both need to list one another to be matched together. And the Willard Hall tour is on the YouTube channel for UMW admissions.
And logging into your email. So if you've already got your email set up, if you just go to the umw.edu homepage, there's actually a toolbar at the top and you can just click on email, and that will take you to the page where you log in.
There was another question about if you selected the auto process roommate, can you switch to find a specific roommate? Yes, you can do that until the 15th. So you can log back into your housing and dining agreement anytime up until the 15th. Once it hits the 15th, if you have submitted that, then they will go ahead and start. That's when they start the roommate matching process. The reason that it closes so early is so that we can make sure that we are getting you all room and roommate assignments prior to orientation. So yes, the deadline is May 15th for the housing and dining agreement.
So the first year seminar is a class that you take all throughout your first semester. So you will have that class 2 to 3 times a week. You will need to make sure that you're listing first year seminars that are in a suite style dorm, if you need a suite style dorm.
If you're already assigned to a dorm based on the FSUM, can you go back and select all female, or is that too late? Yes, you can go back in and select the all female residence hall in your housing and dining agreement until the 15th.
Yes, 15th of May is correct. So 4 days from now.
Yeah. And additionally, which seminars are assigned to suite style, that is all listed in the first year questionnaire. So you will find that information there. You're going to be looking for Randolph Hall or Westmoreland Hall for your FSUM then at that point. All right. Again, if you want to go into a deep dive with housing and dining, I know it's a lot of what's on everybody's mind. Please attend that session tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Amanda just put it back in the chat again where you can register. They will record that session as well. So if you can attend, it will be placed up on the UMW admissions YouTube channel after that session concludes, probably in the next couple of days, hopefully before the weekend. All right, everybody's fun part, orientation. So orientation is quickly approaching, y'all. So we have 5 different sessions that will happen an overnight. You notice that it's 2 days. It's really a day and a half. It is an overnight experience. Orientation is filled obviously on a first come first serve basis. So you can see that the first session is closed because they have hit the cap of 125 students for that session. So they have gone ahead and closed that one. You can choose from any of the others that you would like to go to. For students, we do provide you housing for that one night, and you are required to stay on campus for that night of orientation. Are you going to be in your residence hall or your specific room? No. Are you going to be in a residence hall on campus? Yes. Are you going to be assigned a random roommate for that first night of the same sex? Yes. So we will be assigning your roommates as you come in for orientation. So again, if Amanda and I came in back to back one after another, we could be paired together to stay together for that night, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're roommates for next year. We're roommates for that one night. Okay. Orientation will be holding chats, an actual like online chat where you type in questions on June 2nd and June 9th. And those will be at 6 p.m. Amanda, the links should also be available to register. If you are interested and want to ask all in-depth questions about orientation, you can do so about what to bring, what are you worried about, what to expect. They will tell you that then. For now, we will encourage you to register for orientation. You can find the link to register again in your admissions portal or via an email for us about orientation registration. Day one starts, we got a start and end time. Day one typically starts they'll start check-in at about 8 a.m. With speakers beginning at about 9. Day 2 will end by like 1 p.m., maybe a little bit earlier. So if you are coming from a little bit of a distance, you will likely want to come in the night before. As part of that. For any of my students that are far away out of state, so far away out of state would be anybody that is within flying distance, not within driving distance. Let your admissions counselor know, and we can work with you. There is an August option with an early move-in for those students that are coming flying distance if you need that. So please let us know there.
Yep. Okay. So I put the registration for that June 2nd chat in the chat. June 9th has not been posted yet.
Okay, perfect. So June 2nd, and that will be with the orientation team. So that will be with Dean Jones as well as our orientation coordinators. Matthew, as an international student, yes, you would go to the August orientation, and we can give you, if you reach out to your admissions counselor, who is Adam Moore, he can give you the date for that. All right. So one of the things that we wanted to make sure that you guys knew and had information on was optional connection building opportunities. So one of the things that is really important for us at Mary Washington is for you to be able to find your place, your fit. Where should, where are your friends going to be? Who are your friends going to be? And give you different opportunities to be able to facilitate that and find your people, right? We want you to find your people. We want you to be comfortable here. So we offer some different opportunities. On your screen on the left-hand side, you will see SOAR and NEST. These are considered pre-arrival programs to Mary Washington. So these are before the actual semester begins. SOAR is a summer orientation adventure retreat. It is a camping retreat. And when I say camping, it's not cabin camping, guys. It is primitive outhouse camping. So you are making your food, you're making it over a wood fire as part of that. That is a opportunity that is piggybacked onto 2 different orientation days. And that is about a 3-day experience for you. We are super excited to be able to bring that back this year. This will be the first time we are offering it since COVID. So this is a return to our SOAR program. As part of that, you do adventure hiking, you go out, you can, they sometimes do tubing down the Rappahannock River. There are outdoor activities and fishing and things like that. Skills building and icebreakers and community building activities that come as part of the SOAR opportunity. It does have a low cost. It's less than $50 for you to participate, and that pretty much pays for your food over the course of the couple of days that you are out in the wilderness as part of it. It's not really super, well, it is wilderness. Mary Washington actually owns a plot of land called the Eagle Outpost, and that is where you go for SOAR. So it's about 45 minutes or so from campus. It's not too far. NEST, which is New Experiences for Students Transitioning, is an early arrival program. So students that want to explore NEST, it has a lot of emphasis on service and community engagement, as well as leadership. NEST students will move to campus on Sunday prior to all of the other first year students coming to campus on Wednesday. So the NEST program is essentially from Sunday to Wednesday morning. And you're, again, with a smaller group. For NEST, you actually do move into your very specific residence hall room as part of that. And you will go out as a group and you will focus on different activities that are centered around service and engagement, Rappahannock River cleanups. They also have fun activities like tubing down the Rappahannock River and events like that. So there are the options for you to do NEST. NEST does carry a price tag as well. That is, I believe, about $180 for a pre-arrival program for you to be able to do that. The other three programs on the right-hand side of your screen are going to be the Presidential Emerging Leaders Program, Impact, and the RISE Peer Mentoring Program. All of these are year-long opportunities that students can, whether their emphasis is on building leadership and their leadership skills, or maybe that is service. So leadership would be the PELT program, service and community engagement will be the impact program. The RISE peer mentoring program does a little bit of leadership. They also do some service, but they also focus on social justice as well. Any three of these programs are available to you. For those three programs, you do have to apply to them, and they are open for applications at this time if you would like to consider them. We will be doing an additional session to go in depth on all five of these programs in the next couple of weeks, and we will announce that date out to you once they're available. We did have another question. What if you are scheduled to be out of state on pre-planned vacation the 21st through the 28th, and graduation week events are mandatory the 16th through the 17th. I would encourage you to reach out to the orientation team at orientation@umw.edu to see what your options are if you already have a pre-planned vacation and can't make the other dates available. All right, so I know y'all, we've been really focused on kind of those core next steps, but we do want to give you an opportunity to know about some other important dates to have in your mind, things to be thinking about as we move forward. So come June, we're going to have those orientation sessions. We're super excited to be able to bring you back to campus and have you for that overnight experience. By July 1st, you will need to have submitted your final high school transcripts that show that you have graduated, as well as any AP, IB, or dual enrollment credits. So if it's a dual enrollment, we need an official transcript. IB and AP, we need your official scores. So make sure that you send those over to us. In August, you will see NEST, the extended orientation option available to you. Move-in is August 17th. Another big date on the calendar is August 21st, which will be honor convocation and Eagle gathering. And then the first day of classes is the 22nd. Between your move-in on August 17th and classes on the 22nd, we have programming for you. You're not just going to sit bored in your residence hall room. There will be a lot of programming that will happen, especially associated around that first year seminar course. So you will be meeting in that group with your peer mentor and really learning about what it means to be a Mary Washington Eagle and what you can expect coming in the coming 4 years. We have questions about if I sent UMW as an AP score report location, will College Board send it before that date? Joey, I am not sure when College Board plans to send those out, but if they send it as an automatic, then it should get to us. I don't know what date those ultimately get sent. Matthew, as an international student, you'll be okay. you don't have to worry about that final results. We know that our international students don't get their final results by July 1st, so you won't be held to that. We'll remind you about it, but you won't be held to it. Other questions about those dates? One other thing that I do want to mention, and they'll talk about it during summer homework during orientation, but if you want to pre-plan and schedule your doctor's appointment now, is that you will have medical forms that will need to be filled out and submitted no later than August 1st. And so if you want to go ahead and schedule that doctor's appointment, you should schedule yourself for a physical and or check-in where they can go ahead and fill out paperwork for you. They'll also need a copy of your vaccination records as well. There was an email sent out about world language placement testing. It said by the 14th. Is that the case? The Latin link placement is invalid. Michelle, I would go ahead and email your admissions counselor about that, and they can refer you to academic services to go ahead and connect you with the Latin department so that they can figure out what's going on with the placement test. If you have taken 4 or more years of the same foreign language, so Spanish 4, Latin 4, French 4, German 4, Arabic 4, American Sign Language 4, you are not required to take the language placement test. So please keep that in mind. And again, if you have taken only 3 years, you're not required to take the placement test either. You can start. Matthew, we can talk with Modern Foreign Languages about counting Irish as your modern language. We had a question about required COVID vaccination. Based on the governor's new guidelines, we are not allowed to require COVID vaccinations. However, it is something that the university will strongly encourage you to do and to get your booster shot when you are eligible and available to you. So please keep that in mind. We want to keep our community safe. We have done an excellent job of that through the COVID pandemic and keeping case counts low and keeping community spread low within our community. And we did that by MMDC, which is masking, monitoring, distancing, and cleaning, but also through vaccinations and boosters.
The last number I heard, over 95% of our community was fully vaccinated and boosted. So that's a number we're pretty proud of around here.
Do freshman students register for classes, or is it set automatically through the first semester? That's a great question. So the first year questionnaire that you fill out actually will assign you to your first year classes as well as that first year seminar course. In July, you will register for a virtual advising appointment with your FSEM instructor to go over your course schedule that we have placed you into. Every first year student will go through that in July. We will then open the course adjustment period in early August for you to do drop add. So everybody is going to be on the same playing field. You don't need to say, oh, I have to do this July 1st because then I can adjust my schedule. You can do it July 1st, but you're not going to be able to adjust your schedule till August when we open it back up, so that everybody has the same opportunity if they need to make adjustments.
The biggest thing that we run into for that is students who are transferring in dual enrollment AP or IB credit who say, oh, I'm transferring, I've been placed in biology 101, but I'm transferring in AP biology credit. Don't panic. You do have the opportunity to add drop. We just don't have those credits from, College Board yet to verify that you have an adequate score from AP biology yet to place you out of that biology course. So don't panic. You will have the ability to change that.
And you also have the ability in the first year questionnaire to tell us that you're taking the AP Bio exam or the AP Chem or AP English or whatever it may be, so that we also know what to anticipate scores for. There was another question about, I took the Chem placement exam a bit ago, but it hasn't updated in the applicant portal. So the chemistry placement exam reminder in the applicant portal is just that. It's a reminder. It will not update. But you should be able to reach out to academic services and or the chemistry department to verify that they got your chemistry placement exam.
Kind of on that
note, to take the chemistry placement exam if you are planning to major in a natural science.
Yes. So biology, physics, or biology, chemistry, environmental science, biochem, those things. If you're majoring in English, you don't need to worry about that. Yeah. On that note as well, for the checklist in your portal, we are getting in reports from lots of different offices who are telling us to check things off the portal. Sometimes things get missed. Sometimes we won't get an update from an office in a timely manner. So if you see something on your checklist that you don't think is supposed to be there, don't panic. Most of the things that you're filling out, you will get confirmation emails for. So if you're getting those confirmation emails, everything is probably okay. But if you're still, if it's been a week and your first year questionnaire is still not showing as received, just send us an email. It may just be something that needed to get checked off that isn't. Contrary to popular belief, a lot of this stuff is still done manually. So just be patient with us and just let us know if you see an error.
If you are starting a new language, you do not have to take the language placement exam. Like I said, language placement exam is not mandatory. It is optional. All right. What other we have getting connected, guys. Follow us and chat with your classmates on Zamy so that you can really start to get to know one another. That has been super popular for students in the class of 2026. We strongly encourage you to do that. And Amanda's going to put that link in the chat. You can also follow the admissions on Instagram. We're at Mary Wash Admissions. We'll follow you back. We'll also post things from the orientation Instagram as well as the university-wide one to help you start seeing different departments and offices and events and things that are happening across campus. So that's another way to get connected and kind of keep up to date as to what's going on. All right. What other questions or anything does anybody have? You guys have had some good ones so far.
You can reach out to your admissions counselor. So if you're from Stafford,
that would be me.
That would be Sarah.
Yeah. So if you have, so Joey, what I would recommend, if it's guidance on your password, like we said earlier, if you have tried both iterations of the temporary password, so you need to use the email and follow the link out where it'll give you the instructions on how to set it up. If those don't work, I won't be able to change your temporary password to help you get in. You'll have to contact the IT help desk.
So you can, in the email, where you were given your net ID, it will have a link that will take you to the page that will explain to you, how to figure out your password. If you put into Google, UMW net ID, it will also take you to that page. Please read those directions carefully and slowly. It will walk you through exactly how to do it. It can just be a little bit of an intimidating web page when you first get on there because it is long. Yep. But I promise if you work through the steps one at a time, it will be there.
There was another question that says, what websites do I use my net ID for? You will use your net ID for your housing and dining agreement, logging in for and registering for orientation. It's where you will log in for your My UMW, which will also allow you to log into Banner to accept your financial aid. So your UMW, and it's also your email address. So your UMW ID is used for pretty much everything that's asking for a login except your admissions portal. Is probably a better way to think about it. There was a question about where can I find more information about scholarships? So if you have not received your financial aid award package at this point, you would need to reach out to financial aid at finaid@umw.edu. The institutional scholarship application is available on the financial aid webpage until May 15th if you want to apply for institutional scholarships that are given through donors. And that is a hard deadline of May 15th on that. If you have questions about those things, again, reach out to your personal admissions counselor and they can help connect you with that.
I have also just put the link to the health center forms in the chat. So that's where you can find that health history form and that immunization record form to take to your doctor.
There was also a question, what was the hall for the LGBTQIA community? And that is Madison Hall.
Madison. So you won't find out whether or not you've been, like, what roommate you've been assigned until June. You will only know your residence hall a few days probably after you submit the questionnaire.
So once you submit your first year questionnaire at this point, once they place you into your first year seminar class, you will be able to log in and see that in your admissions portal, what first year seminar class you've been assigned to and what residence hall it is in. So if you submit your first year questionnaire today, I would say today is what, Wednesday, check back on Monday or Tuesday of next week, and you will likely have that assignment in there for you. Other questions? All right, well, here we go. If you won't know your roommate, even if you're both requesting each other, you won't have a confirmation of who your roommate will be until June, even if you both are requesting one another. That is when you will receive the official assignment from Residence Life.
And you'll find out what room you'll be in and what floor and all of those things.
Morgan, that's a great question. When will payment plans be available? Payment plans should be available this month through the Office of Student Accounts. And you can sign up for a payment plan starting in May. There's also one that starts in June, one July, and one in August. And there's more information on the Student Accounts website. Amanda, can you pop in the chat the payment plan webpage from Student Accounts? We did get another question. I know this is kind of early on, but do honors students get early registration for classes in a normal semester? Dominic, yes. So starting in your second semester, so starting for the spring, honors program students do get pre-registration before advanced course registration begins. And the honors program will go over that with you.
Okay, so I just put the link to our student accounts webpage in there about payment plans. It doesn't look like they have the payment plan schedule for the fall up quite yet, but you can see, you know, what the schedule has looked like last fall, and I don't anticipate that will be any different this fall.
Thank you. And one other thing to mention too, because payment plans were brought up, bills will come out in July and they will be due in August. So please keep that in mind. Again, they will go to your UMW email address. So start checking that now. Bills will only go to your UMW email address until you set up an authorized payer, which they'll talk about at orientation, for it to also go to those stakeholders in your life, your parents, if they're helping you out with that bill.